Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're starting with something quite, well, surprising. A fact about one of the world's most influential podcasts.
Uh,
And maybe not the one you'd first think of. It's not from the usual suspects in the West, but actually a show from the Arab world that totally reset the benchmark.
yeah, it really shifted how people saw digital audio. Became a huge phenomenon, really.
We're talking about Frenjan from Thamania and the host, Abdulrahman Abu Mali. His style, it was so casual, but incredibly impactful.
Right. He didn't just set a standard, he kind of became the standard. It's interesting, his name, Abdurrahman Abu Mali, actually became interchangeable with the show itself.
People would say, listen to Abdulrahman Abu Mali, not just Fanja.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which just shows that that deep personal connection he built, you know.
Mhm.
The reach was massive.
Absolutely. So for this deep dive, we're going to explore relationships. We're drawing insights from Yasser Al-Huzaimi, a certified relationship coach who was actually on Fanjan.
Hmm.
Our mission is to kind of unpack how relationships from the spiritual right down to the very personal, how they work or sometimes don't work in today's world.
And what that means for your mental well-being.
Yeah, exactly.
And this isn't just theoretical stuff. The source material we look at cites the Ministry of Health saying long-term solitude is a major driver of depression.
Right.
And conversely, strong, healthy relationships, they're key to getting past it. So understanding connection, it's vital for everyone, for you.
Okay, let's dive in then. What's the ground rule for relationships according to these sources?
The fundamental idea is pretty simple. Almost all relationships are driven by need. Someone needs something from someone else.
Okay.
There's one big exception, though. Allah's relationship with us. Allah, or God, SWT, glorified and exalted. He doesn't need anything from us. He's completely self-sufficient.
But our relationship with him.
That's driven entirely by our need, our inherent deep need for the Creator. Understanding this difference, this need-based dynamic, it really changes how you see every other connection.
So that first pillar then, our relationship with Allah, SWT, how does that spiritual connection actually play out in our daily interactions with people?
Oh, it influences everything, seriously. How you relate to the Creator shapes how you relate to everyone else. A good attitude towards Allah, which means believing what He's revealed, accepting His plan, destiny, and following His commands, it cultivates things like patience, forgiveness, contentment.
Contentment.
Yeah. Knowing Allah is watching, it encourages you to seek His pleasure in how you treat others. Like even a small thing, removing a twig from the path, if you do it for Allah's sake, that can lead to Jannah, paradise.
That's a world away from the kind of transactional view we sometimes see, isn't it? Like the customer is always right applied to relationships.
Exactly. That's often about taking. What can I get out of this?
Yeah.
The spiritual perspective flips it. It's about giving for a higher purpose, for divine pleasure.
What about that innate pull towards something spiritual, even for people who might say they're atheists?
Well, the sources suggest that searching for some kind of absolute, some guiding force, it's just built into us. It becomes really obvious under pressure.
Right.
Even people who don't believe, when things get really tough, they might instinctively look up or search for something bigger than humanity. The problem today is that other things become gods, like desire, pleasure, fashion, trends, social media likes.
They take the place of a higher authority.
Precisely. They replace that moral legislator. So you lose those traditional ideas of right and wrong. It just becomes, well, I liked it. Things like modesty, even beauty, become totally relative just based on what's trending. But that core human need for guidance, it's still there. It just latches onto something else.
Which brings us nicely to the second pillar, our relationship with ourselves. That sounds pretty foundational.
Oh, it's the bedrock. Absolutely. If you don't have a healthy relationship with yourself, how can you have one with anyone else? It lets you tell the difference between genuine self-love and just, selfishness or ego.
And self here is pretty broad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's your culture, what you read, how you look, your interests, and really importantly, your skills. Skills are key. The more skills you have, the less dependent you are.
Which ironically makes you more valuable in a relationship.
Exactly. It fosters cooperation,
Yep.
mutualism. Ali ibn Abi Talib, Ali R.A., he categorized people. You're either a master, a prisoner, or an equal. But the bottom line is, as long as you're alive, you need others, and others need you. It's unavoidable.
What about that gap William James talked about? The 6 people present when 2 meet. the gap between who you are and who you pretend to be.
Right, that's huge. James said you have. You as you see yourself, you as the other person sees you, and you as you really are. Times two people, that's six.
Wow.
And the bigger that gap, that void between your true self and your presented self, the more likely you are to feel depressed, ashamed, unworthy. It's like the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "The believer is the mirror of his brother."
Don't break the mirror.
Right. Learn from the reflection. Don't shatter it because you don't like what you see. Use it to improve.
So there's humility, like seeing yourself accurately, maybe even slightly less, like Umar R.A. apparently did.
Reminding himself of his humble roots. That's healthy.
But then there's self-contempt, which is different.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Self-contempt is taking on challenges you know you can't handle, then beating yourself up for failing. That's destructive. And the opposite, that overconfidence based on ignorance, the Diener effect, some call it.
Where you think you're great, but you're really not.
Yeah. And then reality hits, and your self-esteem just crashes. That's also dangerous. True confidence is just knowing you have a skill you actually possess. The tough part is accepting that initial awkwardness when you start something new. Every beginning is hard.
So how do we fix that self-contempt? Build real self-worth.
Two main ways mentioned: complimenting and developing. Complimenting isn't just flattery. It's looking back, consciously recalling your past successes, your achievements. Focus on the good bits, the tidy parts of your past.
Not just the failures.
Exactly.
Okay.
And developing means starting small. Forget the giant leaps. Small, consistent steps build real proof of your worth. That makes you resilient to criticism, right? Because your validation comes from inside. This all starts in childhood, you know?
Yeah.
Parental love gives that first sense of worth. But then siblings. Often that's where transactional stuff starts. Pleasing others to avoid rejection.
And that can make the other seem like this huge source of safety, but also fear.
Precisely.
So what does a healthy relationship with yourself actually look like? What are the signs?
Okay, several things. First, knowing your rights and your limits. Like Ibn Zubair, standing up to Umar R.A., knowing his ground. Second, normalizing mistakes. You're human, you'll mess up. Perfection is for Allah alone.
Right.
Third, moderate self-worth. Knowing you have a right to learn, to speak, but with good timing and attitude. Fourth, not being ashamed of normal things, your looks, your car, your family background.
So owning it. Yeah. And fifth, being yourself. Choosing comfort over constantly seeking admiration. Self-acceptance isn't settling. It's a journey of improving who you genuinely are and finding that mirror. You need someone wise who knows you and knows the specific issue. Be truthful with them, like telling a dentist exactly which tooth hurts.
Okay, let's shift gears. The modern landscape. The sources talk about the waste of civilization, this pervasive Western cultural influence. How does that mess with relationships?
It's described like buying a chair you like, but getting the whole, maybe unwanted room set along with it. It's a package deal. One aspect is atheism's influence. Without that sense of a watchful presence, divine accountability, the baseline for treating others well can sometimes drop. There's no ultimate consequence factored in.
Okay.
Then you have scientism and materialism, reducing people to beta points, to numbers, to just their appearance. Think about how sadness gets quantified, or how marriage discussions can focus purely on dowry or looks, missing the soul connection.
And what about extreme freedom or relativism? The I liked it justification.
Yeah, that replaces clear standards of lawful, unlawful social norms, even beauty. If I like it, it's good. Truth becomes totally subjective. Generosity shifts. Maybe instead of hosting properly, you just grow your own burger. It makes navigating shared expectations really hard.
Right.
This often links to extreme individualism. Everyone's an island, maybe surrounded by social media, but lacking that real community safety net. Trends rush in to fill that vacuum of shared values, pushing a single global model.
Like the Thai versus the Shema example.
Exactly. Or English over Arabic, or iPhone versus Samsung, Real Madrid versus Barcelona.
Yeah.
It creates these binaries. If you don't fit neatly into one box, you feel weird, ostracized. That hits your sense of belonging hard.
And this ties into utilitarianism too, the what's in it for me approach.
Absolutely. Relationships become transactions. Legalistic. Just but not kind is how the source puts it. You fulfill the contract, but where's the humanity, the kindness? The Quran reminds us, don't forget kindness among yourselves.
That leads to dehumanization, right? Seeing people as numbers.
Yes. Bureaucracy, repetitive tasks, ride-hailing apps, even hospitals, sometimes deficiency can overshadow empathy. It creates this be competent or get stepped on world. Family can start to feel like a burden. People feel rootless. It's called reification, seeing people as things like the bug people analogy, interchangeable units, not unique humans.
It's disturbing. And this fear of the other gets marketed.
Oh, definitely. For security systems, for promoting certain types of businesses that cater to isolation, even planned obsolescence, the idea that it's cheaper to replace than repair gets applied to relationships.
Wow. Planned obsolescence in relationships.
Yeah, making divorce or cutting ties seem easier than working through problems. It fosters this programmed impatience.
Programmed impatience. Explain that a bit more. How does that show up?
Well, think about tech. Phone slow. Get a new one. Apply that logic to people. Relationship hits a rough patch. The programmed response, the impatient one, might be, this is too hard, let's just end it, rather than investing the effort to fix it. It's a low tolerance for difficulty, expecting everything to be smooth and easy, which real relationships rarely are.
So technology is a huge factor here. Easier life, maybe, but harder relationships.
That's the paradox, exactly. Tech can break down superficial barriers, sure. The example given is a taxi driver might give a ride to a stranger's daughter now, maybe less likely before.
Yeah.
But it often replaces genuine connection. Needs are the glue, remember?
Right.
But why cook together? Why rely on each other when you can just order delivery or send a quick text? Social media offers this safe, virtual world where you can just block people, replace them easily, no tough emotional work required. You lose social skills, privacy vanishes. If you're not online, you're seen as weird, mysterious, backward. It echoes what Al Jarreau apparently observed centuries ago, relationship values decaying from being based on faith to just fear and desire.
Okay, so amidst all this complexity, how do we actually build healthier relationships? What are the practical steps?
Awareness is the starting point. Huge. There's this analogy. If I ask quickly, how many fingers on 10 hands, you might blurt out 100.
Yeah, instinctively.
But if they're human hands, it's 50.
Yeah.
Our assumptions are mental shortcuts. They mislead us constantly in relationships too. We need to consciously slow down, be present, question the context, really see the other person.
Slowing down, questioning interpretations, that leads to the power of how we interpret actions, doesn't it?
Absolutely. That space between what someone does and how you react, that's all interpretation. And you can choose your interpretation. Choosing goodwill, assuming the best, even if the driver honked rudely or someone didn't call back or offered you a burger weirdly, choosing a positive lens spares you pain.
It breaks the cycle.
Right. You become the wiser one, the one who absorbs the potential slight, because your interpretation protects your own peace.
And this connects back to justice versus kindness.
Exactly. Give more than what's strictly just. Maybe you agreed on 50, but give 70. Not just as a favor, but out of that humbleness of fear of being unjust.
Yeah.
Humanize your interactions. Lead yourself with principles. Don't let dehumanization lead you. Be proactive, helpful. It takes effort, but it counts.
Okay, let's clarify things by classifying relationships. You mentioned 5 types.
Yeah, this helps bring clarity. First, living relationships, actively nurtured, commitment, kindness, forgiveness. They're growing.
Okay.
Second, sick relationships, characterized by avoiding blame. They need vitamins, responsibility. You act right even if they don't reciprocate yet. Patience, endurance, cooperation. And there are levels here from just matching their effort to being kind, to treating them as Allah wants, even treating them as you want Allah to train you. That's the highest.
Got it. What's third?
Third, sickening relationships. These drain you. They demand more than they give and constantly blame you for not giving enough.
Toxic, basically.
Pretty much. Fourth, dead relationships. Peaceful coexistence, maybe, but no real love or connection, like roommates in a rental house. True comfort, the sources say, comes from specific deep bonds, like marriage.
And the last one?
Fifth, unnatural or unlawful, like friendships between opposite genders that cross Islamic boundaries, no lowering the gaze, inappropriate speech, being alone together. The guideline is, not every available is attainable. Boundaries are crucial.
So in shared spaces like work, how do you define a healthy interaction versus something crossing a line?
It's about contact versus relationship. Contact is temporary, purposeful, discussing a work project. A relationship becomes repetitive, versatile. It goes beyond the context.
Like small talk escalating.
Exactly. Frequent chats, compliments, coffee breaks unrelated to work. If attraction is there, this is the bicycle starting to wobble. You can either slow down, regain balance within proper limits, or if it feels right and mutual, explore it lawfully towards marriage. That's the healthy path if attraction exists.
Differentiating seems key. Regular, deep, old, permanent, temporary.
Super important. Regular ones are context-bound, like colleagues. No obligations outside work. Knowing this avoids resentment. Deep ones break that context, meeting a colleague outside work for something personal. Old ones, like a childhood friend. You choose. Cold hello kills it. Warm hello revives it.
And permanent versus temporary?
Permanent or irreplaceable family, spouse is parent of your kids. They have a whole network of rights and duties. Temporary are replaceable stranger on a train. No network. You have to prioritize the permanent ones.
Which explains Dunbar's number and the idea that too many relationships are just a burden.
Precisely. Dunbar suggested we can only handle deep sympathy with maybe 12 people. Our stable network is around 150, 190. Trying to manage more just creates enemies, dilutes your care, leads to burnout. Even just basic family ties can easily hit that limit. You can't possibly give deep care to hundreds.
Right.
That's why setting boundaries, maybe lowering the rank of some regular relationships less time, slower response is necessary, and holding grudges, it's like drinking poison yourself. Let it go.
Okay, a really critical one. Attachment versus love. This trips people up constantly.
Hugely. Intense relationships often fizzle into attachment, described as a withered torment. It's presented as an illness, not love. The signs are clear. Constantly thinking of them when they're gone, only focusing on them when they're present. Intense possessiveness.
Look with the grabbing hands analogy.
Exactly. You lean all your weight on them. If they pull away, you fall, but you blame them. The source even describes this mental village of infatuation. A platform to worship them, an altar to sacrifice for them, a hospital to complain about them, a tower to watch them from. It consumes your whole life.
That's intense.
It is. Healthy love is balanced, gentle. Attachment is rigid, painful, suffocating.
So if someone is attracted to, say, a coworker, what's the healthy, lawful way forward? Avoiding attachment.
Lawful inquiry. Recognize the stages. Infatuation, blind. Realization, masks off, you see clearly. Then decision, commitment. Don't get stuck in infatuation. If it's a coworker, approach it properly, man-to-man inquiry, or through a trusted mediator for man to woman, and ask the right questions.
Beyond the superficial.
Way beyond. How do they see the opposite gender? What are their dreams, ambitions? How do they handle anger? Are they stable? How do they manage money? Messing up at work has bigger consequences too.
Okay, last point. The social number rule. What's that about?
It's the idea that everyone has a social number, their rank or role, and it changes with context. A top surgeon is number one at the hospital, maybe. But at home, asking for eggs, their number changes. They're just husband.
So accept the role changes.
Yes, and understand different types of authority. Religious, academic, social, skill-based, moral. Maturity is recognizing these shifts. And the most powerful, most lasting authority, it's moral authority.
Yeah.
Good character, kindness, generosity that earns respect, that lasts even when you're not there, brings inner peace.
Wow. Yeah, that was a really deep dive. We've gone from spiritual foundations through the maze of modern cultural impacts right into practical ways you can build healthier connections. It's about needs versus wants, awareness over autopilot.
Yeah, and it all comes back to your well-being.
Definitely. So as we wrap up, think about that train analogy we touched on. Ask yourself, are you aware of the train you're on in your relationships, in your life? Are you choosing the destination? Or are you just letting it speed along, missing the important stuff, letting things happen to you?
It's a powerful question. What's one small thing, just one, you can do today to be more mindful in one relationship? Maybe choose that positive interpretation.
Yeah.
Or make a conscious effort with a permanent connection.
Because having this knowledge is one thing, but applying it, that's where the real value is for your life.